AEW Dynamite, coming to you from the town that I forgot. What town were they in? Where were they? Chicago! How can I forget the second city?
No, you ain't going to get... Jace, leave that in.
I didn't say take it out. Leave it in.
Town.
Every arena looks the same. What do you want?
Chicago, that toddling town or whatever.
The second city.
Sweet home Chicago.
You know what the first city is? New York. How about that?
You know, that actually is a little trivia note. A lot of people never understood why it was Second City TV, and they called Chicago the second city because New York was it actually wasn't the first city chronologically, but it was the biggest city. And in Chicago was the next biggest city, hence the second city.
And where was Second City TV produced?
In Canada.
Toronto. So it wasn't even in Chicago.
But they came from there, didn't they? Because they had the Second City improvisational
That's right.
business going on. Can we just talk about anything instead of this program any longer?
I think we can keep doing this, and it was kind of a merger of the people from the Harvard Lampoon and then eventually National Lampoon. And they got together with the people doing Second City. Some went to Saturday Night Live. The rest went to SCTV. What if those roles had been switched? Instead of John Belushi, we had John Candy on national TV in 76.
Instead of Chevy Chase, we had, what was that other fucking fellow?
Joe Flaherty.
Flaherty.
Sadly, I know who that other fucking fellow
Yeah, that other
must be.
fucking fellow. And where did Fridays fit in all this?
Fridays was ABC's attempt to...
I know what it was.
That.
I'm just saying, where did it fit in all of this?
On
it was
Fridays.
Forgotten, but poor...
On Friday nights. That's
poor Michael Richards.
Larry David.
It was an incubator for the Seinfeld staff.
That was I don't know about a lot, but that was also people from the Groundlings, which was the Los Angeles version of Second City in a lot of ways.
I thought that was that historically black college in Louisiana. No, that's Grambling. I'm sorry.
Well, this is
to the Groundlings.
this is my show, but this is your Dynamite review, my friend.
Well, the opening match, and again, folks, it's not even a fever dream now or an acid trip. It's a rib. It's a rib on somebody. We're just not sure who. The opening match on Dynamite on Wednesday night, August 30th, was the Plumber Moxley versus Commander. Commander, who came out in his Mayan wedding dress. I don't know what the fuck he's wearing. And you've seen that when they get the cakes. When they get the cakes for the Mayan wedding and they're on top of the temple, and there's Quetzalcoatl with his bride.
Where have you seen this?
In all the fine Mayan bakeries around the area. You gotta go in one and try it out. Anyway, they showed people who paid to get into the arena this match with a straight face. I know TV's free, but Commander's a foot shorter and 50 pounds lighter than even Moxley, who looks like an emaciated fucking sailor that's been washed up on a deserted island 6 months ago with only a fucking soccer ball to keep him company.
Message in a bottle.
So the exciting finish to this contest was Moxley gave him a pile driver and got a 2 count. Then got on him and gave him the phony elbows. Then got him in a rear naked choke, and they were just laying there immobile. Then he switched to an armbar in the same position. And finally, after they were just laying there for about 30 seconds, Commander tapped out. 15 minutes of that to open the program. The most entertaining thing about this match was the sign in the crowd that said, "Look in my eyes, what do you see? Where is Jack Perry?"
Oh, yeah, you have to say it with a French accent for it to work.
Jack Perry! You got to lengthen it there a little bit. So that was that. What'd you think?
Moxley's just so bad. Just so bad. I don't know. It's like, imagine if the Nasty Boys took off their shirt and just decided to try to do jujitsu.
No. The Nasty Boys without their shirts on looks like they ate Moxley.
Did you see his shirt when he came out? Remember he came out previously with a shirt that said Death Jitsu and like fuck you or whatever it said?
Zero fucks. And then he had to cover up the fucks with black duct tape.
Now it
What's
says
it say now?
Pure garbage. is that his own, like, is that an actual dojo, or is it his own, like, mental dojo? Death
Apparently,
Jitsu?
he sells those in his mind. He's the practitioner of death jitsu, pure garbage. All right. Why do we even bother? He does it for us.
Commander is Alex Abrahantes now as his manager, so that's really good. It helps hype people up.
No. Anybody that's Hispanic is going to come out with Alex. That's just a thing now, which is kind of racist in its own way, I would think, but nevertheless. Does he really ever manage anybody? He's the hype man. Does he manage anybody? Does he rarely get to speak, but he jumps up and down and he's excited when they come to the ring and he's in their corner because, as we mentioned, they're Hispanic.
But he's a babyface manager. Should he be doing anything, or should he be kind of hapless?
I don't know why he should be there. It was good when he was doing the promo as the interpretation for Penthouse and Felix once upon a time when Penthouse says, and he was a prick heel, but now what use is he? And he doesn't speak for the Mexican wrestlers because he barely ever speaks.
Beyond Moxley, have we seen enough of Commander? Have we seen everything Commander does? Is there anything more to see from Commander?
I think, much like Sugarloaf, we had his number as soon as he walked in the door. Anyway, so the Buckaroos from last Sunday were in a pre-taped interview. They were in the back after the match, and they were trying to act like they were frustrated about the loss. They're especially Matty, Pieface, when he hits the bench and goes, "Damn it," or something like that. It's like, oh, I'm so upset. And FTR comes in, "Why didn't you shake our hands? We were trying to show you respect." Blah, blah, blah. "Oh, we just got carried away because, it didn't. We started this company. Had to get that in. We thought we were going to win the belts. Didn't go our way." And then here comes the Bullet Club, consisting of Gin and Juice and the Gunn Boys and the cardboard cutout they carry with them. And in some uninteresting and fairly mush-mouthed fashion, in no way making it interesting or building anticipation for it, they all decided they should have an 8-man tag team match on Sunday night at All Out. This is on Wednesday.
If I had to ask you, how can you get the Young Bucks to work in Chicago and not get booed, what would you tell me?
Team them up with FTR, but it ain't gonna work. Because the people have figured out they can do whatever they want. So they're gonna, like in Puerto Rico, when the people just decided Zelina and Io that she was working with, this is going to be the greatest match of all time. Was it Io or was it, who was it?
It was Io and Bianca. Zelina was a different match, I think.
That's right. It was Io and Bianca, because Zelina was the one we thought would be in Puerto Rico, would be the hometown hero, and she wasn't. But anyway, point is, the Punk fans will cheer the fuck out of FTR, and every time they tag one of these idiots, they'll boo them out of the building because they're going to want to have fun with it. And they know that the Punk fans know that these guys are ultimately the ones responsible for them not getting to see the guy they paid for. So then Renee Moxley-Good was in the back with Toni Storm, and Toni Storm again is great in her vintage hairstyle and her haughty British, Australian, New Zealandish manner, whatever the fuck she's doing. She can't trust Ruby. She can't trust Saraya. Apparently, the problem with Saraya started, we didn't watch the match because there was 8 hours and 45 minutes of other wrestling to watch the other day. But when Saraya's mother was at ringside in the front row, Toni Storm was coming with a punch. One of the heels was holding one of the baby faces, and they ducked or whatever, and she nailed Saraya's mother and knocked her colder than a wedge in the front row during the match. So later on, that's when Saraya sprayed old Toni Storm in the face with the paint. And Toni is upset here because, as she said, and I quote, "Wembley went tits up I didn't know you could say tits on cable over, even though that is a well-known expression. It went tits up over there. I didn't know you could say tits on cable now. I thought you could say fuck, because they do that all the time, and shit.
They don't say fuck all the time.
Well, they used to.
Well, I mean, a few guys did.
Remember one show, they said it about 4 times.
One show, Moxley opened up and just immediately said, hey, fuck you, or whatever. There's some guy in the crowd.
Hey, fuck you.
Go fuck yourself. That's what it was.
Fuck yourself. Oh, fuck your mother. Hey, your mother fucks me.
What?
Well, that's the kind of thing they say over there.
What are we talking about? Oh, Toni Storm.
Well, yeah. Now tell us how great she is. You love Toni Storm.
She's doing classic Hollywood. You're doing classic Dice. She's really good. I wonder or get concerned that maybe she's going too far. I know each week, each interview, there's a progression. She's getting more out there while getting more into Norma Desmond. I don't know what exactly it is. But I just wonder if it's going to get too wacky.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
And I guess the breakup of the Outcast isn't even official yet. It's about to happen.
Who's going to be cast out of the Outcasts?
Toni should just do her own thing, but I don't know if that means Saraya and Ruby stay arm in arm. I don't know what happens.
Let's stay together.
Was that supposed to be Was that supposed to be Al Green's version of?
No, that was Don Green's version. So then Chris Jericho was in the ring for a promo about Wembley and what all happened, and he called Sammy Guevara out because, there was a problem. At Wembley, Jericho wasn't happy that he lost and, everything had happened against Will Ostrich. But also he had shoved, I believe, Sammy. They had some words, and Jericho apologized. He wasn't happy about what happened. He never should have shoved Sammy. He wasn't sure that Sammy had tried to help all that he could. But finally he apologized. They shook hands. Then Jericho said, hey, maybe I should have done things differently. Maybe I should have done this or that, or maybe, Sammy, you could have hit Ostrich harder with the baseball bat, but you tried, whatever. And Sammy's like, wait a minute, what, hit harder? Maybe you could have hit him harder with the Judas. Then Jericho says, well, sometimes I ask you to do something, it doesn't turn out. And it degenerated from there to where they made snarky comments at each other about Jericho losing and Sammy not following Jericho's advice. And in this, Brian, did you have the same problem about 2/3 of the way through? Jericho just turned babyface because he was attacked and beaten up by the evil manager Don Fallis when he was going to join the organization, but then found out Callis had planned to stab him in the back the whole time.
With some fine artwork.
Where's Paint Your Life when we need it? And so Jericho was the babyface. But when he wrestled Ostrich at Wembley with the evil manager Don Fallis in the corner, who has more heat than anybody, at least in terms of the booing, Ostrich, being the hometown hero, was the goddamn far and away the fan favorite in the match. Now, Jericho back in this country, the new babyface that he is apologizing to Guevara, but then Sammy has kind of been a babyface, but kind of not sometimes. But now in this interview, Jericho was the prickish one that got under Sammy's skin for Sammy to fucking fire up at him. So Sammy was put in the sympathetic position. And then at the end of the thing, Jericho said, wait a minute, let's not be like this. Let's not fight. Let's not do this. Let's reunite. Let's get the sex gods back together. Let's win the AEW World Tag Team title. Next week, let's get back started on that road. And then Sammy said okay to that and hugged Jericho after they'd been arguing. Who's the babyface? Who's the heel? Whose side are we supposed to be on? Who's trying to zoom who? And what in the wide, wide world of fucking sports is going on here? Answer all those questions one at a time.
Oh, stop it. it's Jericho, so nothing in the end really is good or makes sense. But there are elements of good in this. The Ospreay match was good. Don Callis' turn on Jericho was convoluted and ridiculous. Jericho being turned babyface and being the heel in London against a hometown boy is bad timing. And then this whole segment with Sammy. Jericho's acting was bad. If you watch their facial expressions while they're doing it, Jericho's like an acting coach and Sammy's trying to do it. But I thought Sammy did a good job, but then it goes back to, like you said, I mean, we're friends. Back to friends. Hug. Friends. Thumbs up, friend. That's what it comes back to. And that's what it was here, and now we get to see Les Sex Gods. I will be honest, that may be one of the more compelling matches I'd like to actually see FTR have right now. Would be FTR against Jericho and Sammy. It would be different. Who knows what FTR would get out of Jericho? I don't know if that's going to be what happens, but wishful thinking.
Well, speaking of wishful thinking, we were in the back where the plumber was holding court with Claudio and Useless about some shit out of the same shit that Moxley says all the time. But I just made a note, if not for wrestling, Moxley would be in a work release program somewhere. Can you see it? Look, we're going to give you one more chance. You got to clean the fucking side of the interstate up for about 2 miles. And then we'll let you back out in public. One more time. Oh. The next match was, I'm not kidding. We're almost to the end of this thing. Well, not quite. There's still a little bit more left, but the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight title was defended next with Eddie Kingston, who apparently has just won this thing in Japan, against Wheeler Useless. What in the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight title? Are they just making this shit up now? That was not rhetorical. Is that a real thing?
Well, yes, it's a real thing. It's a real strong championship for New Japan. I mean, that's also, what is it? Stardom has what was it? The Dream Princess Open Championship? I don't know what the fuck's going on.
With arms wide open.
I have a list here from the Cult of Cornette Facebook group. A member, Rob Francis, posted all the different championships that have been on AEW. This is the 34th championship.
What? How is that possible?
The AAA World Tag Team title, the AAA Mega title, the AAA Mixed Tag title, the AAA Latin American title, the NWA Women's title, the NWA World Welterweight title, the Ring of Honor World TV, World TV, World Tag, Pure, Women's, and Six-Man title, the Impact World title and Tag title, the IWGP US World and Tag title, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's, Strong Openweight and TV title, the AEW World, Women's, Tag, TNT, TBS, Interim TNT, Interim World, All Atlantic, Trios, International, although that's All Atlantic, and Real World title. Also, the FTW title. I don't know what this is, excuse me. The Regina D. Wave title.
What?
From a Japanese women's promotion. Also, the Oceanic title.
The Oceanic title? What are they getting a diving bell and go 5 miles under?
Other titles or title-like things included the Owen Hart women's title, the Owen Hart men's title, and the Dynamite Diamond Ring.
Well, at least Eddie Kingston won this contest.
The Oceanic title, shouldn't it be at sea? Like you wrestle on a barge?
I don't know, but I think everybody involved in this company is adrift, if nothing else.
Well, if I asked you to place a bet on if this show is going to be good or bad coming out of the pay-per-view, what would you have done?
Well, I think I would have won some money because I would have bet exactly what it was, which was rotten, stinky rotten. And I should have placed that bet. As a matter of fact, Brian, that's the way to get rich now. Just place your bets on the NFL or whatever the case with our friends at DraftKings. We've been talking about them now for several days. And I'll tell you what, the folks at DraftKings, the NFL season is right around the corner. As we mentioned the other day, they had pretty good luck with last year, so they're going to do it again. And now you can get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. So right there, if they're an official partner of the NFL, that means they probably got some inside knowledge. Now,
No. That's not how it works. It's not based on inside knowledge. That's actually not exactly not how it works. It's gone. They don't have knowledge.
You don't know how.
No, they have no. It's not about their knowledge. It's about your knowledge. You are trying to win. They are saying what they think, but there's no.
So you're trying to win, and they're trying to stop you.
There's no insider kind of deal going on.
Well, see, they're trying to give you money. Here, I'll tell you about that. They're going to give you $200 just instantly, just like that, for $5. I don't know how that works. They can stay in business, but nevertheless, they're an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and that can be positive. It could also be negative. If you lose money, you better pay them up, or elsewise they're going to send some of these big NFL linemen out to your door to collect.
That's not the way it works.
Well, yeah, normally you will pay up and everything will be fine. But if for some reason you get the limber tail on that payment and it doesn't come every Tuesday exactly as promised, then somebody from the NFL is going to be on your front porch collecting that money.
There will be no one from the NFL on your front porch. By the way, the NFL players make more money than you could ever imagine right now. I don't think they need this side job, this side hustle of bouncing for DraftKings.
Well, that's true because they're more informed than anybody else. When they bet on their own games, they're probably making a fortune.
They don't bet on their own games. They're not supposed to bet on their own games. They're not allowed to.
Well, okay, their wife or their cousin, their brother-in-law.
No.
Wink, nod. Hey, wink's as good as a nod to a blind man.
What does that have to do with anything?
I see, said the blind man to the crippled dog that used to belong to the tightrope walker.
We're talking about DraftKings here.
We're talking about DraftKings. They're an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and right now, new customers, that would be you folks that have not previously availed yourself of this fine service, can bet $5 and score $200 in bonus bets instantly, just like that. All DraftKings customers also can take advantage of 2 new offers for every game day this September. And they play a lot of these football games, right? They're doing it in a variety of places in this country.
Yeah, it's very popular, yes.
So there's a lot of game days. So they're going to 2 new offers for all the DraftKings customers every game day this September. And that's why they say life's more fun when you're in on the action, especially when you're in on it. You know what I mean? When you're smartened up, when you're with the picture.
That's not what they mean, no.
There's a racket to this.
There's no racket to this, no.
The folks at DraftKings will smarten you up. As long as,
they're not,
as far as you need to be smartened up.
They will give you an opportunity to test your sporting knowledge and possibly make some money.
Just like Vince used to. He'd say, we'll give you the opportunity to make more money than you have ever made. And that's exactly what DraftKings is going to do right now.
Yes.
If you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app before kickoff and use the code JCE, you will get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL game or goings-on. And that's only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the code JCE. So you can live like a king. That's how they got the name. These people are living like kings because they won all this money betting on the NFL.
What people?
The people that run DraftKings.
So they won and then they took over the company?
Yeah. And now they're letting everybody in on the deal. You can retire off this shit, man. I'm telling you. The money will just be flying in. They'll be bringing it in wheelbarrows up your driveway. All you got to just risk everything.
Or direct deposit, folks. Direct deposit.
But just go all in. Liquidate everything
No.
you have, real
No.
estate, stocks, bonds. Go all in on a big fucking home run on the first NFL game.
Go all in on
Or a big, how do they
reasonable
score the
financial
touchdowns?
touchdown.
What are you saying? Go
I'm trying to tell
all in
people not to go all in on whatever
financial.
you're saying. Well, invest your money wisely, folks. Diversify.
Go big or go home. I'm telling you, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. And if you can't do the time, don't do the crime, motherfucker. So I would advise you turn your kids in at the orphanage and get something for them.
No.
Send your wife out in the streets to get some extra money.
No.
Put everything you got on the Cleveland Browns.
A reasonable amount that you feel comfortable about on some other team.
What's the matter with Cleveland?
There may be there's other things happening right now. There's baseball.
The last time the Browns went back to Ohio, their city was gone. They moved while they were out of town, hoping they wouldn't be able to find them. Anyway, once again, folks, go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and download it. I assume you know how to do that. You'll get no instructions from me. But if you do that, downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app, then you can use the code JCE to get $200 in bonus bets instantly on a $5 bet on the NFL, and that's only on DraftKings Sportsbook. We have some other information here. Have we gotten clarification on whether we need to read this verbatim or not?
Apparently we do.
Well, I'll give it a try. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, parenthetically 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, parenthetically KS, I think that's Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. You could be as young as 6 in the Philippines.
No?
No?
No. Well, you could be any age you want in the Philippines. It has nothing to do with this.
Void in Ontario.
Yes.
There sure is a big black space right there in the middle of Ontario. ccdkng.co/football for eligibility.
Oh, that got me last time, too.
No, they've added a C. There's two. It's CSEE. They've added 2 C's. It's not CC. It should just be CDKNG.co/football for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. And if you're anywhere else besides New York or Connecticut and you got a problem, well, go fuck yourself. We don't have the information on that.
CCDK.
CCDK. See, there's too many C's.
I know. I'm staring at it while you're reading it. I'm just losing my mind. Because then it's just letters, just random letters thrown at you.
Loud noises.
All right. Well, that's DraftKings. We once again welcome them aboard. This is their first time here in the Drive-Thru. Welcome to the Drive-Thru, DraftKings.
Yes. Well, you don't know what you've gotten in for, but you're about to find out.
Well, what else did we have in for on AEW Dynamite?
Well, we had MJF and Adam Cole in their package from Wembley. And then they did a promo after the match, which MJF took the majority of because apparently he said he was going to Paris for vacation because he's been wrestling too often lately. But he'll be back next week on Rampage. No, wait. Hold on. Next week on Rampage, there is a battle royal to determine the next challengers for the Ring of Honor tag team title that MJF and Adam Cole have. And MJF is going to enter Adam Cole, who's going to enter the tournament?
This is a great review.
God damn it. I'm telling you. There's going to be a battle.
MJF.
MJF, OURSE. There's going to be a battle royal on Rampage for a Ring of Honor tag team title match, and there's going to be a tournament that is going to be ongoing to determine a winner to get a shot at the AEW World title at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show. And Adam Cole is going to enter that, I believe, so that eventually he may get another chance at MJF. But MJF said he's taking the week off because he's wrestling too much. So he just told him he's not in Chicago tonight. So Punk ain't there. MJF ain't there live, I'm talking about. Who that they would have thought that they were paying to see is left to be there on this fucking crummy show. So far live, they've seen the Plumber and Commander,
Konnichiwa,
Jericho and Sammy in an interview, and Kingston and Useless in a match. And then here comes Adam Cole for a live in-ring promo. Okay, he's a star at least, half of this equation. And he's happy that they won the Ring of Honor belts, but unhappy that he lost the main event, but he's going to get another shot because he's going to be in the tournament, blah, 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 blah. And MJF, he says, is banged up, and you could hear the people go like, boo, like he's going to be ready to go this Sunday. And they're like, we're here tonight, motherfucker. And then suddenly out comes Roderick Strong with Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. And this turned into my favorite segment of the show. Because I always knew that Mike Bennett could talk. That's why I was very high on him, 13, 14 years ago now. Unfortunately, his career got derailed by stints in Ring of Honor when it was not visible, and Impact when it's never been visible. And Matt Taven, I also think should have been a heck of a star, but he got derailed somehow. And I guess they didn't have the proper friends in Cucamonga to get them the big time jobs. They're just good wrestlers and they can talk. But Roddy, I've always known Bennett could talk. I've always known Taven was going to be a star. Roddy's an impeccable worker, but his promos, as I believe you mentioned the other day, have never been his strong point. But they all fired up at Adam here, and it turned into maybe faint praise, but the best segment on the program, where Roddy's pissing and moaning, but you care more about Max's neck than mine. And, Adam's like, this has gotten ridiculous, Roddy. And then Bennett jumped all over Cole. And in 2010 in Ring of Honor, we got each other jobs. Actually, no, they didn't. We had already decided to hire both, but they had a good match.
Oh, stop it. Is this the first time they would hear that?
I doubt it. I don't know. I don't know why they ever thought that. I've had Mike Bennett here to the castle and told him what I thought of his talents and when he was working with Bob Evans. And, we started off giving him a push as the prodigy, Mike Bennett, right? Because he was a young 20-something-year-old kid then. And Adam Cole, from the first time he worked Ring of Honor and did a couple of promos, we knew we were going to use him to the heavens, so it wasn't dependent on a match they had, but it works in the story here. And they did all these things together. Cole was at Bennett's wedding, blah, blah, blah. And Taven fired up well, too, and talked about Adam running off to Florida and leaving us all behind. And basically, they made Adam Cole out to be an ungrateful prick that ignores everybody that ever helped him. And I'll tell you, Bennett and Taven, I haven't seen them wrestle in years. But they could fucking go at one time. If we can get something going on here with these guys, at least we've got a chance to see some good fucking wrestling matches. I'd love for them to be transported over to Saturday nights. And so then, as any good babyface would, that has been accosted by these people running his character down, he apologized to them if he made them feel that way. But friendship requires understanding. And MJF is my best friend. And then we go back to all the friend business. And then Roddy's going to get in the tournament for the shot at MJF. And he'll be the champion with his real friends, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
You know what? I got excited about it. I don't think that's going to be the end result. Probably not.
Probably not.
But MJF versus Roddy Strong sounds like a good match.
And that would be fun. Except MJF will probably be trying to figure out a way he can stay away from getting chopped. And Cole's worried about Roddy's neck. And Roddy says, bad neck or not, I'm winning that tournament. So now you worry about my neck, right? So anyway, they walk off and leave Adam Cole. So Adam Cole was dressed down and apologized like all good baby faces. And then they walked off and left him. Your thoughts?
This is the best character work of Roddy's career, despite the who's friends with who angle. I was going to say part of this angle. That's the whole angle is who's friends with who. Roddy's doing the best stuff he's ever done. I think if he loses that neck brace, it'll be like, Samson getting his hair cut. So keep the neck brace on him. I was really enjoying Taven as the mute guy that's always just standing in the back. So I was a little disappointed that they broke that. But he was good. Bennett was excellent on the mic. And that wasn't necessarily a crowd that wanted guys that weren't established to get mic time.
Right.
And I think they overcame that pretty well. Despite the silliness of the who's friends with who aspect of this. Again, there's ways to do that where it's not like, who's friends with who? You can introduce the idea you were the best man at my wedding. It doesn't have to be so childish.
But and here's the thing.
But this was the best thing on the show. I agree with you.
Yeah. In wrestling history, a lot of major money angles have been when friends broke up and faced each other. Yes, but they didn't spend all the time talking about, are you my friend? I was friends with you and you weren't friends with me. We need to be better friends and all the other friends and blah, blah, blah. It was implied in the history of wrestling that all the baby faces were friends with each other and all the heels were friends with each other. You didn't need to say it. Every once in a while, and we even did it with the Midnight and Tully and Arn. Because Bobby and Arn were best friends, so we illustrated that in the promos that Tully was the prick that nobody liked. Arn and Bobby were friends. Stan wasn't necessarily friends with either Arn or Tully. But there was and that they lived close together and their children played together. We made that because that made it more personal, but also nobody else was talking about, I've longed to be your friend. It was different. Anyway, you don't have to, you can have betrayal and vengeance and etc. without just constantly, are you my friend? Most people want stars and celebrities and their sports heroes to be kind of badasses that don't particularly give a shit whether people want to be their friend or not. Don't they? Steve Austin? Don't trust anybody? Fuck the boss? Whatever.
Like when Bob Orton turned on Roddy Piper, Piper didn't cry and scream, "You were my friend."
Yeah, there you go. He said, you backstabbing motherfucker after all I've done for you, like normal human beings say. All right. We had Nyla Rose, Marina Shafir, and Emi Sakura wrestle Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Chris Statlander. And Emi Sakura has given up dressing like Freddie Mercury and instead came out dressed like a cross between Queen Elizabeth and Jerry King Lawler. A robe, a crown. Could have been a crobe. A robe, a crown. I think I saw a staff or a scepter. She looked like she just stepped off the top of a fucking margarine tub. And I've got to admit it, as rotten as the AEW women's division is, Sakura is a whole new level of amateur. They have self-training in Japan. We've seen that with Maki Ito. And apparently she's cut from the same cloth. Did I miss anything in this contest?
Didn't she train Maki Ito? Oh, no, she trained Riho. That's what it was.
Oh, boy. Well, there you go.
I didn't watch this match. I wasn't.
All right.
There was no way I was going to watch this match.
So moving on. Shane Taylor. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chad Wilson.
Dan Tucker. They
Shane
had a
Taylor,
package.
though. Yeah.
They had a package on Shane Taylor, who is going to challenge Samoa Joe. I'm grinning. I can't. Who is going to challenge Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor television title on Sunday's pay-per-view. have we ever heard of Shane Taylor? Has Shane Taylor been on this program? Has he ever been seen? Has his name ever been mentioned?
I don't remember ever seeing him on this program. I'm not familiar with everyone in Ring of Honor currently. I don't watch.
Well, currently there really is nobody in Ring of Honor because they all work for AEW and they just call it something different. But apparently this guy was in Ring of Honor before, and now he's getting a shot at the title despite the fact that we have never seen him, heard of him, or he's never been mentioned until 4 days before the title match. Big looking fella. Then they did an interview with Take a Shit and Don Fallis and The Scar. The Scar now gets its own introduction. It's as big as a human. Have you seen where he's putting he's dressing it up with the red lipstick or whatever? And it's getting longer. It's going to be it's going to be across his eye by October, into his cheek, like a Bond villain. And they had...
Can I say something?
Yes, please do.
This was the best Don Callis. To me, this was the best Don Callis promo. Again, it's a backstage one as opposed to being in the ring, but I thought this was the best thing he's done, him and Takeshita.
Maybe most effective as a manager.
Yeah, this was good stuff, I thought.
Well, that's the thing. They had, it was probably Don's. I would think this kind of sounds like something he'd come up with, and it was good. They had the x-rays of all the surgeries that Kenny Olivier has had this past year, all the weaknesses in his body, the bad neck, the bad back, the hernia repair. And Don is telling Take a Shit what moves to use to damage all of these surgically repaired items he's got going on. Give him the forearm under the chin for the bad neck and the Blue Thunder Bomb for the Blue Thunder Bomb wouldn't be the worst thing for a hernia. I've had a couple. I suggest he just splash the motherfucker right in his nuts. But anyway, that was the thing. The heel manager getting the medical reports of his former protege in order to give them to the fucking evil heel to have him break down the weaknesses. I like that concept. Like you said, that was a good idea. And that didn't last too long. And then we came back out in the arena to the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn entrance. Did you like the rap? Can you give me a beat?
Oh shit! Fuck! Hold on!
I'm revving up.
I'm not letting go of this opportunity. Hold on. I'm over here. Hold on.
Humming, me, my.
I got one leg.
I said a hip hop, hip hop on one leg. You don't stop a rockin' to the bang bang boogie. Seb jump the boogie to the rhythm of Brian Lass's kalimba.
Oh, here we go. There's your beat, Jim.
Okay. 80,000 people, that's colossal, but we never froze, so we're not Mitch McConnell. These other teams dressed looking bloodshot, they looking pissed like Trump in his mugshot. Yay! What is that? You got a strip club in there? Get off the pole, Brian. And put that dollar bill back in your fucking panties.
All right. Don't talk about my panties on the air, please. Thank you.
All right. So the ring was set up with a podium and a table and what was obviously brand new belts under black sheets or towels or whatever. And they did a promo about winning the 6-man tag team title. And the fans were so excited about what they were saying, they just said, fuck it. They started chanting, "Scissor me, daddy." But they did a ribbon cutting ceremony with giant scissors and unveiled the new 6-man tag team belts with hot pink leather and a scissor fastener on the back. And they will defend these belts on Saturday night on Collision, and then they scissored the belts. And unbelievably enough, nobody came out to beat them up. But boy, howdy, Billy even said at the start of this thing, well, we're running late. We hadn't got much time. I swear to God, what was this show? Plumber and Commander.
Yeah.
Kingston and Useless.
Yeah.
A 6-girl tag.
Ugh.
That's it in the way of matches and these interviews that don't end and that often don't have a purpose.
Yeah.
And they did manage to announce, as we mentioned so far, about 4 or 5 fucking matches for the pay-per-view happening 5 days away, 4 days away, whatever. But the Acclaimed are just floating. The people like them. They love them even. But a lot of this hinges on Billy. They've got this young 20-something-year-old tag team combination.
Well, they're not that young. I think they're actually, at least Caster. Someone told me Caster's in his early 30s.
Yeah. Well, they've got this young tag team combination. And the most popular person is Billy. And he ain't going to be doing this forever. But that was that. And they're going to defend the titles, as I mentioned, on Collision on Saturday. So we got that going for us. They're floating. What do you think? What's going on here?
No, I don't know what. I've kind of lost it for the Acclaimed. I love that rap video they did the other day on, I guess, Collision. But these are the kind of segments I don't like when they're on Raw. You know, like, I'm not a fan. Obviously, it was a major success, and you could always say, look, it did great numbers, but that This Is Your Life, The Rock segment. It never went anywhere. You know, it was like it kind of happened, and then the show just moved on with the next segment. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
But it did a great number, but it wasn't good. With this, nothing, all of a sudden there's a ribbon cutting ceremony for these new belts. Well, I'll say one thing. Tony Khan gets a lot of credit, and he deserves it, for creating an amazing opportunity for so many wrestlers and people around the wrestling industry to make a lot of money. Not enough has been said about him keeping all these belt schmucks in business.
That's the belt makers have never been so happy.
Oh my God, every 3 months is a new belt and a new design and a new look and a new strap. Nonstop.
You couldn't get the goddamn promoters to pay for a new title belt if the old one was falling apart and you could see the guy's dick through it.
What would the prices be now compared to what they would have been in, let's say, the mid-'80s or even the 70s, based on what you would know? Like, did inflation match the price of the title belts, or did it come down significantly?
Well, no, now you can
for a
always,
promoter, not for a fan, but for a promoter.
For a promoter or wrestling company, you can always spend as much money as you want to for a belt if you go crazy and, have a wild design and put everything in it. But
like the Nikita Molkovich belt, how much did it cost when it was first?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The cost of the belts adjusted for inflation is probably less now than ever because there's more people making them. In 1991, when I got my Smoky Mountain Wrestling belts, first ones I had ever bought, specifically myself out of my own pocket, I got the 3 done for $1,500 a piece from Reggie Parks. And that was when Reggie was just about to retire and, Milliken and those guys were taking over.
But now at that time, there weren't too many other options, right? Now, Adrian Street was doing some sort of belt, I think, at one point or another, and maybe some other people, but what other options would there have been for you?
Well, there weren't that many, and Reggie was the trademark, right? Or Reggie was the go-to guy back then, just as Molkovich had been 10 years previous. Reggie all through the 80s did the belts. Molkovich did a lot of them through the 70s. I don't think the Molkovich belts in the 70s, I don't know that they were $1,500 a piece, but at that point also, that's now $6,000. If it was $1,500 in the mid 70s, it's about $6,000 now.
Right. That's my question there.
Well, and now there's so many, the replica belts now look better than the real belts that the promoters used back then. So the point is, you can have all the belts you want now because there's multiple people making them. Whereas before it was, hey, you got to call Reggie and he's going to be backed up for 6 months. Or, if somebody knew a metalsmith in some territory, that's why you would see belts in different territories that didn't look like any other belt in any wrestling promotion ever. That's when they'd found local people that just did metal work to make something. And that's the only belt they ever made. Molkovich, his books
Vern's AWA belt, right?
Yeah, well, you got that one made in prison, right?
That's right.
But the Jarrett's CWA title belt, the CWA world title with the stained glass in it, it was completely different from looking from every other belt because he had it made somewhere in Tennessee. That's the only belt the guy ever made.
Are the belts? Do you think the belts are too standardized now? I mean, everything's kind of the same shape or the same outline.
Yeah.
Or we see, an homage to an old belt like a UWF TV title or something.
Not only are there too many of them, but yes, they're all too similar. And the WWF is ridiculous in terms of all the belts being the same, just different color, accent, or whatever. It not only makes the championship stand out, but it makes the guy stand out if he's wearing a belt that looks different than every other belt that the guy in the territory or in that area or in that promotion or whatever has. And that's very uncommon these days. Did you hear the thing? The WWE has teamed up with the NFL, like our friends at DraftKings, to make WWE championship style belts for the different NFL pro football teams. But have you heard they pulled the Jacksonville Jaguars belt? The WWE, it's either not.
Fanatics. I think Fanatics is involved because remember, WWE is a deal with them and Fanatics is the exclusive, I think, merch supplier for the NFL.
Well, yeah, but the point is, in some fashion, whoever's responsible for it, the WWE's not just making NFL belts and bootlegging them and screwing the NFL. It's a deal that they've got with somebody. But they pulled the Jacksonville Jaguars belt. It's not on the WWE website, according to fans on Twitter. And is that because the Jaguars and the Khans didn't want their belt being sold by the WWE, or the WWE didn't want the embarrassment of selling a belt of a team that was owned by their competitors?
If you were an NFL owner, would you want the league being involved in an exclusive deal like this with a competitor and another one of your businesses getting the rights to merchandise off your other company?
Probably not.
Yeah, if I was Tony Khan, I definitely wouldn't want this.
But I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, or whether there was a mutual feeling. But for some reason or another, this is what I saw on Twitter. Feel free, folks out there, Cult of Cornette, smarten us up on this. But the Jaguars belt was pulled, is not available, not going to be taking place, whatever. We need more details.
Who's buying that? I mean, do you bring it? Do football fans bring their championship belts to the game the way wrestling fans?
I guess they will now. They've never been able to before. They had to wear those cumbersome cleats and shoulder pads and that fucking helmet they couldn't hardly see out of and carry that goddamn football. Now they can just wear the belt.
Well, coming to an arena near you, but we are still talking about somehow. That was Belt Talk, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Well, back to Dynamite.
Well, not for long, because the main event was for the Halloween Superstore Championship, Penthouse challenging Pockets. That was the main event of this rotten program with no star power whatsoever, no good matches, and interviews, was Penthouse and Pockets for another fake belt. And so now we have established that the Wednesday night program is the full Outlaw Joke Wrestling show. And if I was the people in Chicago and I'd bought a ticket to this, thinking I'm going to see Punk, I'm going to see MJF, I'm going to see FTR, I'm going to see any goddamn body. And I got the plumber, the commander, the Mayan war bride. I got the fucking Kingston and Useless with a gimmick belt, a 6-girl tag, and Pockets and Penthouse. What the fuck? I'm throwing that away. I'm not even using the blank pages on that pad. It's contaminated.
All right. Well, that was a contaminated episode of Dynamite. But Jim, before we get off this AEW stuff, and we have not too much longer to go, do you want to preview All Out? Because I'm not even too familiar with the card. Are you familiar with the card?
I would love to preview it. I'd love to know what the fuck it is. They started announcing matches for the Sunday night pay-per-view on the Wednesday before. And I think they had one match announced last week. But I don't know what and to hear what the matches are, you have to listen to Excrement, old Sockface himself. And that's an assault on the ears. So the salesman is an annoying fuckwit. And you've only got less than a week to give the people the card. So this is not shaping up to be one of the all-time record-breaking crowds. But go ahead.
All right, this is the card. This is according to AEW's own website. So we're going to go from...
They've actually got it.
Maybe they're listening. But here we are, September 3rd, 2023, the United Center, Chicago, Illinois. Start time, 6 p.m. Central Time. For the TNT Championship, the champion, Luchasaurus, versus Darby Allin.
Well, at least these are two guys that have been interacting on their television, and it's for one of the titles that they defend fairly often. And I mean, I don't think that Luchasaurus should ever have a wrestling match, much less win one. But I would imagine they'll probably do something to further the heat with Christian, and I'm in favor of that. So Luchasaurus will probably retain with Christian getting further up Darby's ass.
Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miro.
Whoo, this is... You know, it's the battle of the brutes, as Nick Goulas would say. I don't see which one needs to lose. I think both of them need to win. Hobbs needs to win because he needs to do something. And Miro needs to win because, except for squash matches, have we seen him do anything in months and months and months and months?
No.
So maybe it'll be a double count out or a double disqualification and they'll both lose.
For the TBS Championship, the champion Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho.
Goodbye, Ruby So-So. Statlander made a mess of you when you laid there on the canvas with your hair a green hue.
Oof. Brian Jones had it easy. Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita.
Okay, I want to see Take a Shit just beat the ever-loving stew out of Twinkle Toes and re-injure all of his injuries and have the x-rays there taped to him to prove it and send him off back to Japan where he can recuperate in the waiting arms of Kota Ibushi. That's what I'm hoping for.
All right, we'll see if they're listening to you. For the AEW International Championship, the champion Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley.
Well, there's our bathroom break, and we'll probably have time to make a sandwich because both of these self-indulgent, talentless pricks will want to go 20 or 25 minutes doing all the stupid shit they do that nobody cares about but spoils it for the real talent on the card. So I'm thinking a shit, a sandwich, and Harley taking a piss. That's what this match will last.
Will it be more CZW or more Chikara?
Oh, Moxley has more pull in the company, so it's going to be full-on garbage rather than just the imitation play lucha promotion.
For the Ring of Honor World TV Championship, the champion Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor.
Well, he's an unknown commodity, is Shane Taylor. Samoa Joe better win this match because, my God, what in the fuck? Of course Joe's going to win.
Could you get him over if he's talented, impressive, and we haven't seen him, so he's an unknown, but he's getting this spot? If he beats Joe in Chicago after everything Joe's been doing with Punk, does it get him over?
No, because people in this company are used to screwy finishes and people that aren't supposed to winning, so it's not really a shock anymore. But no, Joe's in the middle of, well, he was in the middle of a thing with Punk, and he's in the middle of being praised as the king of television, and they've just begun to get that over. So no, he should either be beating people decisively or be doing disputed and or, up in the air finishes with a guy like Punk or somebody that he's programmed with. He shouldn't be doing a job to an unknown person who's coming in at this particular point. So I would imagine Shane will be counting light bulbs in the ceiling.
For the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship, the champions, Better Than You, Baby, comprised of MJF and Adam Cole, versus the winners of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Battle Royale. And I believe those results are in.
Oh, they've done it already?
They did it on Rampage.
That's not till Friday.
Well, they taped it with Dynamite. The winners will be the Dark Order
Oh, God.
Alex Reynolds and John Silver.
What the?
Oh. 2 bodily functions and a... Here we go. That seems more like it. Okay, how many do you have over there?
So the people now, they didn't get to see MJF at all in Chicago on Wednesday, and they only got to see Adam Cole talk. And now on Friday night, they're going to watch them work with fucking job guys? Or on Saturday night? So, or Sunday night. What? Wait a minute. Saturday night's Collision. Sunday night is this pay-per-view. So on Sunday night, the big show, MJF and Adam Cole, the most popular 2 guys in the company, are going to be working with job guys.
Don't worry, they'll have a really fun competitive match.
That's what I'm afraid of. Is that it?
No, there's 2 more matches.
Oh boy. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, they're going to make up for the fact that nobody knows what the matches are by having a bunch of them.
Eddie Kingston.
Oh boy.
And Shibata versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta.
Wow. Okay, Shibata, is he the one with the missing brain?
He doesn't have a missing brain. He has his brain.
They found it.
Well, no, they never lost it. They always had control of the brain. They always knew where the brain was, but the Wrestling Observer...
They were moving it around from place to place, but they still knew where it was.
The Wrestling Observer had 5 different sources who saw the brain leave the head and then be placed back in the head. So I don't know.
But other people said they were just kidding.
And finally, FTR and the Young Bucks versus Bullet Club Gold, comprised of Juice Robinson, Jay White, and the Guns.
So he's really going to try to pull this off and not have Punk on the pay-per-view card in Chicago. And are they at the United Center for this?
They are at the United Center, but I actually read there was...
They're at the Now Arena, the smaller one for the TVs, and then they're at the United Center for the pay-per-view.
I just want to see one other thing, because someone sent me something earlier that they were setting up, and I couldn't believe it. I just want to see... Hold on, Jim, before we wrap up this review.
I'm not rushing you.
Well, Jim, I have an article here that I just saw before from the Wrestling Observer website. Ricky Starks to challenge Ricky Steamboat for All Out.
What?
On AEW Collision. He will challenge Steamboat to an All Out strap match on Saturday's Collision. Is Ricky Steamboat filling in for CM Punk?
It sure sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, what are they doing here?
But that Ricky is 3 years old, and he had a brain bleed years ago. And the WWF wouldn't let him get back in the ring. And he did the referee thing with, didn't he turn down doing Flair's last match. And then I think he did a 6-man recently for a Legend show, but he's only wrestled like once in years, and a single strap match.
Not even just a singles match. Even that, you're like, man, I worry about Ricky Steamboat. A strap match.
It's just I don't think Starks would do anything crazy to hurt him, and I don't think Ricky would cooperate with anything willingly that he would get hurt doing, but there's always the chance. And with a guy, even as great a shape he's in, he had a brain bleed when he was wrestling. What was that? That was almost 10 years ago for the WWF, right?
This has to be some kind of angle to get Punk into the match.
It better be.
And then you're announcing Punk versus Starks the day before the pay-per-view, if that's the case.
Well, this match is supposed to be on Collision.
He's going to challenge on Saturday's Collision, according to a tweet from Tony Khan. This Saturday, September 2, United Center, Chicago, Illinois. Saturday night, AEW Collision, live on TNT. The place to be. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. This Saturday on TNT Drama, Absolute Ricky Starks will appear live on AEW Collision to challenge Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to a strap match this Sunday. this in caps at AEW All Out?
Well, I'll tell you what. If he does and Steamboat accepts it, and they go to the pay-per-view, and they start this match, and Ricky gets a flurry, and then Starks shuts him down and does something heinous to him where he's hurt and can't continue, and as they're loading him up on a stretcher and Starks is gloating, like Mussolini hits, the babies will go in the air. If they have the match and it's a regular match and Starks wins in the end, I think we're still back to burning seats.
Well, that's everything so far announced for All Out and rumored for All Out at this point.
Well, but they've still got, what, 2 more days?
They've still got a couple more days to put anything else together. If you were an AEW fan and you just paid all that money to watch All In, turned out an afternoon show was nice for AEW because it ends and it's not the end of the day. But you just paid for that, and a week later you get this for the card. You may want to sue.
You might want to sue. You might want to haul somebody into court. You might want to say, God damn it, I am going to fire out a writ of habeas corpus, corpus delicti, and corpus Christi against the manipulators who are trying to sell me a bill of goods. And if you need to do that, then there's only one human being in the world that you should call.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Those are the rest.
Folks, he's a humble man, is Stephen P. New. He's a very humble man. He doesn't like to make a big show of his extreme expertise when it comes to legal matters, when it comes to him being the baron of the barristers, the king of all the jurisprudencers. He likes to let us say how great he is. He don't want to tell us himself. He wants to let us tell him. And folks, I can assure you of this, whether you need to sue a weasel in Calabasas County, or whether you need to sue someone that has harmed you or poisoned your drinking water or damaged your family's health and financial security or run you over in a car, or these nasty, no good jail operators that are incarcerating people in ever bigger numbers in substandard jails. You can't even be safe in prison anymore. No matter what you need done in a court of law, Stephen P. New is the man that's going to do it. 888-692-8084, newlawoffice.com. Get even with our man Stephen, because he will layeth the suing smacketh down upon your candieth ass. Can you imagine a card like this? This is bait and switch. You can sue for bait and switch now, can't you?
It depends on
if somebody gives you bad bait, you can take a switch to them.
I don't know if that's how it works, but Stephen P. New would be the man who could answer that.
That's how it works. If somebody gives you worms that the fish won't eat, the worms are rotten, the live bait is turned, you're allowed to take a switch to them to get even, get your money back. Bait and switch. It's an old legal tactic.
Stephen P. New.
That's him.
That's right, Stephen P. New. And just a quick update here. You know, we've been talking so much about Cast Media, Colin Thompson, Live One, Podcast One, Rob Ellen here on the show. You may have noticed that there haven't been too many other voices out there. That may be changing very soon, folks. So stay tuned, because this story may be about to get a lot bigger.
We've been talking to people with voices, and they may be using them.
That's right. That's right.
Some people you may have heard of. Some people that may be on the tips of everybody's tongue.
Well, I don't know.
By cracky, we're always leading the charge, though, Brian. We're always out in front, out in the vanguard.
That's right. Of course, with Stephen P. New with us, but you'll hear much more about this on an upcoming
Stephen's the
episode.
flag waver. He's a much better flag waver than Johnny Ace was.
Who's the drummer boy?
I'll give you a beat. See, that's the
What beat is
drum
that?
break. That's the drum break in Stairway to Heaven.
Let me hear it again.
I got no rhythm. I'm a white boy. What can I say?
You have any other drum solos you could do?
Yeah. How about this one? See, that's drums and horns.
All right, well, let's blow the horn here.